Welcome to the Medical Globe. This is Dr. Hadi here. Dear students, today's topic is from biochemistry, and that is fatty acid, because it is very essential, very important to first get the idea of fatty acid, because it will help us to understand the whole topic of the lipids. Lipid is a chapter. If you want to go through this chapter very thoroughly, very clearly, you must learn fatty acid first. That is why today's lecture is exclusively for the fatty acid only. And in today's lecture, what will be the topics that we will learn today, that I will teach? These are four major topics. Number one is the definition, occurrence, odd and even carbon fatty acid. Number two, saturated and unsaturated fatty acid. Number three, nomenclature. This is most important. Third topic will be the nomenclature, means how the fatty acid will be named and how they will be represented and how you will write them, right? And we will give some touch to the structure as well. And then we will come to the last topic, that is essential fatty acid. So let's start with the definition of the fatty acid. Is fatty acid are those organic compounds which contain carboxyl group, at least only one, not at least, because if I say at least means there will be more than one. They contain only one carboxylic group. What is carboxylic group? This is called as a carboxylic group. COOH is called as carboxyl group. And beside this carboxyl group, you will find many hydrocarbon, CH, more than one such hydrocarbon. And if you complete the valency, that will be CH2, and if it is at the last, it will be CH3. If it is continuation, it is CH2. So all those are those compounds which contain a hydroxyl group in a side chain. Beside this carboxyl group, whatever comes here, hydrocarbon, these are all called as a side chain. That is as a side chain. So a compound having a carboxyl group with a side chain of hydrocarbon is called as fatty acid. Now, fatty acid is not a single compound. Fatty acid is a family name. There are a lot of compounds with the name of fatty acid. How? Because the hydrocarbon number is variable here. If you have one COOH, you might have one hydrocarbon, one CH3 here, and with the COH you may have two further more carbon. So similarly, there may be 3, 4, and 5, and 6. That is why there is no single compound with fatty acid. The fatty acid is a general name that we give to many compounds that contain this kind of property, means that contain a carboxyl group and a side chain. Okay, we will discuss some well-known fatty acids with their structure, formula, and name. So that was only the definition of the fatty acid. Now, the occurrence, where fatty acids, how fatty acid occur. Fatty acid occur both in animal as well as in plants. In animals, they are simple, but in plants they are very complex. Means in plants they contain some additional group like OH group. In animals, OH group possibility is very less, but in plants it contain OH group as well as cyclic structure as well. So fatty acid also contains cyclic structure, but inside the plants. And second, you can get fatty acid as such, mean free or in combined form. So occurrence of fatty acid is, there are two possibilities. Possibility number one, either free. Yes, the fatty acid will be there in the body as such, as not attached, free. And second one is combined. Combined means esterified form. Esterified means the fatty acid fatty acid is linked with something else, some alcohol, glycerol, a carbohydrate, a protein, anything else. So this will be called as the esterified form. Okay, most of the fatty acid in our body is in esterified form. However, some of the fatty acid is also free form. Now, fatty acid, the number of carbon is very important in fatty acids. If you count the number of carbon in different fatty acid, you will come to know that in some fatty acid, in most of the fatty acids, the carbon number is even carbon number, and there are some fatty acids molecules which contain odd number of carbon atom. So even number of carbon atoms, the fatty acid which contain even number of carbon atoms, they have 14 to 20 carbon atoms, means these you can see if it is 14 up to 20 they will be even. The example of even a fatty acid is palmitic acid and valeric acid, because in palmitic acid there are 16 carbon and in valeric acid there are now God, this is not valeric acid is here, this must be stearic acid, stearic acid. Okay, stearic acid, that was mistake, valeric acid is here. Stearic acid contain C18, means there are 18 carbon. So both palmitic and stearic acid are even fatty acid. Well, odd number of fatty acid is, number one is propionic acid, it contain 3 carbon, number 3 is odd. Valeric acid 5 carbon, this is also odd number. And this is one reason why most of the fatty acids in our body, most of the fatty acids, they are even number. The reason is this, there is a proper reason that our body can synthesize fatty acid. Our body can synthesize, I will write this for you, but our body can synthesize the fatty acid in even number. How in even number? Let me explain. Let's suppose there is already a fatty acid with 2 carbon. The enzyme inside our body, they work in such a way that each time they add 2 carbon, each time they cannot add 1 carbon at one time. At one time they add 2 carbon. So next time again they can add 2 carbon. So while adding two units all the time, whether you have 4 carbon fatty acid, it will be even. Whether you have 6 carbon, it will also be even. So the cause of why some fatty acids have even carbon, it is because of the synthesis. The way it is synthesized in the body is each fatty acid is synthesized by the addition of 2 units, means each time 2 carbon units are added. So in this way, if you go for 12 and then 14, then 16, then 18, each time you will get an even number, not an odd number. Okay, so that was a reason why our body contain even. You can just write it as well. Now the next topic is fatty acid is of 2 types. One is the saturated fatty acid and the other one is the unsaturated fatty acid. Saturated fatty acid are those fatty acids which contain a double bond between the carbon atom. One or more than one double bond, but the presence of double bond between the carbon atom make that, that is for unsaturated, Saturated fatty acid means they contain single bond. Let me write it. Those fatty acid which contain single bond between the carbon. Nowadays I don't know, I am forgetting things. In last lecture I also forgot something. This is because the condition nowadays prevailing in that month of the March 2020 that we have some kind of a disease, or the coronavirus disease. That is why we all are at home, so usually don't go out. Maybe this is the reason. So there is a single bond between 2 carbon, that is saturated fatty acid, and Remember, I never saw any fatty acid with which contain a triple bond between two carbon. Mostly there is double bond, right? Double bond. However, one double bond, two double bond, three double bond, four double bond are possible, but triple bond is not possible in fatty acid. The example of these saturated fatty acid are, number one is acetic acid, and I can write the structure of acetic acid as well here. How to write? This is important. Acetic acid structure. You can write acetic acid, 2 carbon. So how? One thing is for sure, that there must be a COOH group. There must be a CO. So 1 carbon is from the COOH group, and because it is total of 2 carbon, so you can write only 1 CH3. That is a bond between this carbon and this one. So CH3 single bond COOH is the name of fatty acid called acetic acid. You can add here acetic acid. So C2 for 2 carbon, 1 2. Then propionic acid, here it is 3 carbon. So again, that is very easy now. Everyone can write, just we have to know the number of carbon. If you know there are 3 carbon in the propionic acid, so what you have to just close your eyes, write COOH, 1 CH3 there must be 1 CH3 and 1 COOH. Now in between these two you can add how many more carbon into them? Definitely 1. So you will add only 1 more carbon, and you have to satisfy this carbon with hydrogen, that is CH2. Make it connect with this one and this one, CH3 CH2 COOH. This is now propionic acid, a 3 carbon fatty acid. Now look at that, it will become more and more simple and easy. C5 valeric acid. Valeric acid, you can write C5. How? That if I write 1 COOH here and 1 CH3 here, now in between these two you will write how many more carbon? Definitely you will write 3 more carbon. So 1 carbon, 2 carbon and 3 carbon more. With every carbon you will have to write CH2. I'm going to write it a little bit small font size, don't worry, and then CH2. 3 CH2 are there. Now 1 2 3 4 5, it's fine, it's okay, now we're done. But in order to write their structure in a little bit simple form, we can just add 1 CH2. We can add 1 CH2 here and write a bracket and write here 3. So 3 times 2 2 2 2 2 2. Now it is again same, 3 4 and 5. So this is the structure of valeric acid. It means you can write now. And then we have palmitic acid 16. How you will write? I hope student will write it by themselves as well, but still I'll write them. CH3COH. Okay, 2. So 14 15 16 mean 14 carbon, we need more 14 carbon. So what will you do? You will have to write CH2. How many CO2s? How many CH2s? Just write it 14 15 16, again 16 carbon. So you just wrote the structure of the palmitic acid. And then now we have stearic acid. I want you people to write that structure by yourself. Okay, that's good, fine. Okay, it is stearic acid. I want you people to write it on a page after watching that video. Now, then the second one is the unsaturated fatty acid. The definition of the unsaturated fatty acid is that whenever in a fatty acid you find that in between the carbon atom there is a double bond, 1 or 2 or 3 double or 4 double bonds, that fatty acid will be called as unsaturated fatty acid. And remember, medically this is good. This is good because the risk of the cardiovascular disease are very minimum with such kind of fatty acid, and such fatty acid which contain double bond, they are called as oil. They are called as oil. That is why people who are medically well aware of the condition, they use oil at home, not ghee, the solid type of fatty acid, which you call it fats. Fat is also used, a word that we use to represent fatty acid. But fat and oil is the same thing. Fat contains single bond and it is solid at room temperature, but oil is again a fatty acid, but it contains double bond, so it is unsaturated fatty acid. Now this is so special. There are some example of unsaturated fatty acid. The first one is called as the oleic acid. And how to write oleic acid, as you just look, I have mentioned some numbers in front of these fatty acids. Look at the first number here. In front of the oleic acid, there is a number 18, and in between that there are usually three numbers. Okay, A colon, B, and then semicolon, and then C. Unsaturated fatty acid can be represented by three numbers. After the first number there will be colon and two dots, and after the second number there will be one dot and one comma, a semicolon, and after the third number you will always find comma only. So what does these three numbers tell us? The first number means before the double dots. The first number always tell us the total number of carbon atoms. The second number tell us the number of double bonds. Means if in a fatty acid here it is written as 2, means there are 2 double bonds. If it is 3, means there are 3 double bonds. So this number always tells us the number of double bonds. And then the next number, which is just after the dot and comma, semicolon, or this number, this is the third number. This tell us the position of the double bond. They tell us the position of the double bond, and this may be a variable number, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 12, and so on. Now I will explain this more. I will let you people understand this with the help of an example. Come here. In front of oleic acid there is 18. 18 means that there are 18 carbon atoms, 18 total carbon atoms in that fatty acid, and there is just one single bond, because here it is mentioned as 1. There is only one double bond, and that double bond is present in between the carbon number 9 and 10. What comes after 9? Of course 10. So you will have to write that the double bond is present between carbon number 9 and 10, because always we write numbering from left to the right. If you see here, look, if I write here, this is COOH, right? And this is carbon, and this is again carbon, again carbon, again carbon, again carbon. And if I say this is always carbon number 1, S is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So if there is number 4, so you will have to think that the number is, if there is 4, if they say that the double bond is at carbon number 4, it means that the double bond is between 4 and 5. If it is mentioned as 6, it means the double bond is between 6 and 7. So come on. So this is fine now. You got this. One double bond, and that is at carbon number 9, because double bond is always between the two carbon. So 9 shows us that the double bond is between the 9 and some other number, that is definitely 10, not between 9 and 8, it is between 9 and 10. Then linolic acid, the first number always contains total number. Linolic acid contains 18 carbon atoms, and look, This is the next number that we represent as with B. B tell us the number of double bonds. So here is 2. It means there are 2 double bonds. And if there are 2 double bonds, there must be 2 positions. So one double bond is 8, carbon number 9. You can't say 8, carbon number 9. This is awkward. No, we should not say like this. This is so weird. So this means that the first double bond is in between carbon number 9 and, you tell us, this is 10. And the second double bond is not 8, 12, means between 12 and 13. You can just go on, you can write it. And then we have linolinic acid. Look at that, this is lic and this is linolinic acid. I want you people to tell me what is mean by this. You just decide. 18 carbon total, 3 double bonds, very good. That is 9, 12 and 15. One double bond is at 9 and 10, 12 and 13, 15 and 16. So this is your homework, HW. Do it at home, wherever you are sitting, wherever you are sitting. Take out your notebook, page, start writing on it. And tell me what is mean by this arachidonic acid. So this is so important fatty acid, so important fatty acid. In our body, it is involved in the formation of different types of substances with the name of prostaglandin, prostacyclin, that are involved in the inflammatory reactions inside our body, in the inflammatory responses in our body. So this is very important from the medical point of view. If you are a pharmacist or MBBS student, you must know that arachidonic acid, because this is the part of our cell, and it has a lot of it has a particular chapter, that is a special chapter for this arachidonic acid with the name of eicosanoids. Okay, and then we got the third. There is one thing more: mono unsaturated, polyunsaturated, and omega. That's a 3 in. Mono unsaturated fatty acid means if a fatty acid contains only one double bond. Fine. Polyunsaturated, if a fatty acid contains more than 1, 2 double bonds, 3 or 4, they are called as polyunsaturated fatty acid. Polyunsaturated fatty acid, PUFA, PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acid, contain more than 1 double bonds. And then we have one word, omega, alpha, beta, gamma. What is this? If I write the structure of a fatty acid, this is, let's suppose this is a fatty acid and it contains 6 carbon atom. This is the terminal carbon. It is always CH3. Fine. The first carbon after the functional group, this is called functional group. The first carbon is named as alpha. The second carbon is named as beta, and gamma, and so on. Alpha, beta, gamma, and so on. Come to the word omega. If you use that word omega, that is, what does it mean by this omega? That if you start here, the last methyl, this is always mentioned as omega 1. This will be called as omega 2, omega 3, omega 4, omega 5. So this is omega 5 series. Okay? And then if it is 5 carbon, let's suppose, so total 5 carbon, and then this will be the terminal CH3, and you will call it omega 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. I got this. I hope you got that now. Then we come to the last topic, that is essential fatty acid. Essential fatty acid. I have just a very small mini screen, so I have to erase this. Essential fatty acid, this is just the last topic. Essential fatty acid. Essential fatty acid. EFA. As we already discussed, that there are some fatty acids that can be synthesized in our body. We have such a glorious enzyme system that they can synthesize fatty acids, but there are some fatty acids that our body cannot synthesize, but it is important for our body need those fatty acids, so we must get these fatty acids outside body from the diet. So what are those fatty acids? You people got the definition? The definition is that can't be synthesized by our body. Spelling is a little bit, you can see, you can recheck. Can't be synthesized by our body. So what are those fatty acids? What are the example? What are the name of those fatty acids? So they usually the polyunsaturated fatty acids are the example of essential fatty acid. So what are these? Linolic acid, linolic acid, linolinic acid. These are the very good example of essential fatty acid. Our body cannot synthesize these. There is a reason also why our body cannot synthesize. The reason, if you write the reason why essential fatty acid can't be synthesized in our body, as a question mark as well. So the answer is this, that the enzyme in our body which synthesize lipids, that enzyme cannot add the double bond beyond C9 and 10, because the enzyme involved cannot add double bond. You know, essential fatty acid contain double bond. So the enzyme cannot add double bond beyond the C9 and 10. This is some 2-3 reason. Maybe sometime we are being asked in Viva that why. This is very simple to say what is the definition of the essential fatty acid. So any student can easily spit out the definition, but if we ask why, so the reason is this is two line is the reason. So my dear students, finally we got a brief, even a detailed, a concise lecture on fatty acid. I hope that once we get this topic, we will be able to understand the upcoming topics in the lipids. So tune on, like to the channel, give us a like and also subscribe so that you will be notified for every my incoming video. Remember me in your prayers. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.